Hi, I'm Sonia Curtis with SCurtisProperties. I'm an independent broker in Los Angeles County. I also work in Kern County. And I just wanted to give a little bit of education on what's going on right now in our market. As many of you have heard, it's a crazy seller's market in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas, and probably all over the United States. Largely, I believe this is because of the historically low interest rates that have driven many more buyers into the market. For several years, I was working with a lot of buyers and they were afraid to enter into the market and buy because they kept expecting another huge crash like we had in 2008. But now that the interest rates have come down so low and there have been several safeguards put in place to not let the same type of crash happen that we had in 2008, I think buyer confidence increased and affordability. It became more affordable for a buyer to buy a home with such a low interest rate because their monthly mortgage payment was lower now. So they were able to afford more for their mortgage or the purchase price of the house, if that makes sense. Then, now that we're in the seller's market and there's a low housing inventory coupled with a bunch of buyers wanting the properties, increased lack of supply, increase of demand, it's causing a seller's market. So what's happening is the last two deals I've been in, we were bidding against multiple offers. Thank God both of them got picked. My buyer got picked. The last deal, there were 18 total offers and we got picked. And then this deal I'm in now, there were 23 total offers and our buyer got picked. So I'm really grateful for that. I think there's a few reasons why I think we got picked. One, great team. We have a great lender who can do aggressive loan terms. That's really helpful and very necessary in this market, especially when you're competing against all cash buyers. Two, just experience, just working with the buyers and having gone down this road so many times, having been in real estate for 17 years, I've kind of learned what we need to do, when we need to be aggressive, where it's safe and reasonable to do so. And then I just coach my buyers on if it's a property they really want. We just discuss market conditions. We look at the comps. Zillow is a good tool for you as a buyer to just look at the prices of the properties that have sold in the area of the property that you're looking at. But even Zillow lately has been not able to keep up with the prices that are increasing so rapidly. The reason this is happening is because, again, we have a shortage of houses and then we have demand, a big demand of a lot of buyers because of the low interest. So it's kind of the perfect storm if you're a seller. And what it's causing is all this competition, right? So all these buyers are trying to outbid each other, and the sellers generally are going to pick the highest bid. Now, they're not a good agent who's guiding their seller is going to also be able to discern. It doesn't necessarily mean the highest number is your best offer or the best buyer. You have to double check and make sure that the lender has thoroughly vetted the buyer. You have to make sure that it's a solid lender, that it's a solid pre-approval, that this buyer is submitted, because let's face it, anybody can say, I want to buy that house for $8 million. But if you don't have the money in the bank and you don't have the pre-approval letter, we all want to buy the house for $8 million, but you have to be able to actually perform. Then there's the part where I think a good agent comes in, where you can convey confidence to the seller's agent that, listen, I've been working with this buyer. They're serious. They're ready to go. We've got them pre-approved solidly. They've been looking for a long time. This is the reason we want this property, and then I also like to really show other agents that I'm serious. I'm going to take care of the business. I'm going to get it done on time. I'm going to try to dot all the I's and cross all the T's and just be as easy to work with as possible. Now, sometimes I've had clients go, well, you seem like you're, being so nice to the other side. And I'm like, well, I'm actually doing that for you too, because here's the thing. In real estate right now, I may be representing the buyer and doing a deal with this listing agent, the seller's agent, right? If I'm a jerk, if I don't do my job, if I'm lazy, if I'm argumentative, whatever, if I cause problems or make it difficult, then not only when we need something, when I need a favor or I need grace or whatever we need, like, oh, the buyer needs a couple more days to get the loan. I'm sorry. As long as there's good communication, usually the other side will understand and they'll say, okay, I'll talk to my client, I'll explain it. If you're contentious or not easy to work with, when you go to ask for a favor, they may say, no, we're going to send you a notice to perform. Your clients, we're going to cancel escrow if they don't send in their money within 3 days. And so it behooves you, client, that your agent works cooperatively with the other agent and with the other side. There's also, I'm a real estate broker, as I said, there's a lot of liability as a broker. We have a fiduciary responsibility, not only to my client, but to the other client. So for example, if you're the seller and your agent is representing you, if you know that you had a leak in your house and you know that there were like black spots on the wall, which could be mold, you need to disclose that. Now, you may have had it cut open, patched, painted. They may have, said it's fine and we don't see any mold. We cleaned it up. A lot of sellers don't want to tell the buyer that they had fixed a problem because they feel like, well, it's already fixed. Why mention it? The reason you have to mention it is because if, God forbid, you close escrow, you didn't mention that leak, even though you fixed it, then down the road, the buyer moves in and then lo and behold, something happens and there's a repeat of the leak. Okay, maybe it wasn't fixed the right way or whatever happened, or maybe there was black mold in the wall. You didn't know, or maybe you did, hopefully you didn't, but, and you didn't tell them about the leak that you patched. Okay, so if in investigation, they find out that there was a prior leak, then they're going to come back to the seller and the seller's agent and say, why didn't you tell us about this leak? And then it can become a lawsuit. Because it can actually, some people are very sensitive to mold physically, and it's a deal breaker. It's just, they can't be around it at all, period. So it's not that buyers are going to run away from the deal when you disclose things. I think in this day and age, we understand everybody in a house that's been living there for a while, there's going to be some issues that the house has had. Maybe there was a thing with the shingles falling off the roof and they replaced it, or maybe there was a leak, or maybe there was an electrical issue or whatever, a floor tiles are cracked or a shower valve broke, or it's normal. Okay. So when you're the seller and you're a seller's agent, make sure you disclose. Now, there's something else that I keep seeing coming up in deals where when you're in this seller's market, you may get buyers offering as is. They're like, we'll take it as is. We're not going to negotiate credits. We're not going to come back after inspection and ask for $20,000 or 10 or 3 or 5 or whatever it is. You're just going to take it as is. Okay, that does not give the seller the right to not disclose. Okay, people get that mistaken. They think that, well, the buyer's taking it as is, so I don't have to tell them about anything. No, that's again how you can get in a lawsuit. Okay, so a good agent, a good broker is going to tell you that to protect you, because it doesn't absolve you from disclosure. One of the biggest reasons there are lawsuits in California is lack of disclosure. Okay, so to be very clean and just to be very straightforward, I encourage you as a seller or a seller's agent, tell the other side, hey, we have this problem, this problem, this problem. And there's forms that your agent will give you. It's called the Seller Property Questionnaire and the Transfer Disclosure Statement. And there's also the agent's visual inspection disclosure. California has so many forms. If you've been in an escrow out here, so they're there to protect clients, okay? So it may seem like a lot of paperwork. It may seem laborious. And if you're the seller, you might be hesitant. You don't want to disclose whatever repairs you did, but you should. Here's the reason. Put yourself in the buyer's shoes. When you're the buyer, I've seen this over and over and over. The seller will say, hey, we had this problem and this problem and this problem. And the buyer will look at it. They'll go, well, what about this? Was it fixed? And if the seller says yes, and here's a receipt, they go, okay. They'll take it. It's not a deal breaker usually, right? But what is a problem is when someone lies and they don't tell you the truth. And then the buyer finds out that there was something withheld, causes distrust. It can make the deal go sour. it can make, and it can those are at the very least. And then it could also, if the buyer moves in, like I said, it can end up with a lawsuit. So I'm really cautious about that. And to be honest, I think it bothers some people that I'm so cautious, but I would rather be upfront. And that's what we're taught, and as a broker, I have to be really cautious. So I want to protect you. So that's a few pointers in this seller's market that I just have been watching. If you need help, if you've been struggling getting outbid, or if you don't have a buyer's agent or a seller's agent and you want help navigating getting your home ready for sale, showing you what kind of things you should repair before we put it on the market, showing you, maybe get an inspection. I can help you and guide you. I have a bunch of referrals and resources to help you. But anyways, if you need help, love to help you. I'm in Southern California. I drive all the time. I drive between Kern County and Los Angeles County and Riverside County and Ventura County. So I'm not adverse to driving, as long as I know that there's a serious, client that really is seriously ready to buy or ready to sell. Okay, so that's it. I thank you for listening, and I'll record another one another time. Bye.